Hey guys, it is Zach Hutchinson with Continuing Hope, and today I have a special show for you. I am going to be talking to you about the top 5 tips for beating depression that I have personally had luck with in the past. Now, I say I'm not a doctor, never went to med school, but these are tricks that have helped me, and I really hope that they help you. Before we get into that, though, I have to give a shout out to my main man, Chris Banks, with the chicken run last week. Chris Banks owns a restaurant, and I actually am going to plug him a little bit right here. I've got his information. He owns a restaurant in Vienna at 129 Veterans Avenue. It's called Wildfires. Telephone number 658-6398. I'll tell you that to tell you this. Chris calls me last week and said, "Are you interested in a chicken run?" And my first response was, I'm not sure. I don't know what a chicken run is. And then I remembered he had been doing some volunteer helping people out last year with these chicken runs, and he was bringing chicken from his restaurant to Marion. Here's the amazing part. The most chicken he had ever brought to Marion was, I think, 23, 25 orders of chicken. The other day, he brought 50 orders of chicken up for Continuing Hope. So thank you so much for your support. Chris, I really appreciate you reaching out. It was awesome. The chicken was amazing. And I'll tell you what the best part of this is we raised about $250 for the charity. And that night, Chris sent me a message and said, "Hey, dude, we made $500 tonight." And I went to bed and wasn't really thinking anything about it. And when I woke up, I thought, how did we gain an extra $250? I don't know where that money came from. Did somebody donate? What ended up happening? And come to find out, he matched what we had made. So big shout out to Chris Banks. I appreciate you, brother. That was $250 directly out of his pocket that goes to Continuing Hope. And that is something major because Continuing Hope is needing monetary donations all the time because we do have vets and first responders looking for treatments currently. So you can go to our website at www.continuinghope.com, or you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Continuing Hope Fund. And there are ways to donate on each website. We appreciate the donations. We appreciate all the love, and we appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to get straight into this, guys. I've got the top 5 tips that I have used for beating my depression. Now, as many of you know, I have had lifelong depression, bipolar, just basic mental illness that's just kind of made me miserable here and there the rest of my life, which is why I started the charity to help people like me, and it's a blessing to be able to do so. So over the years, I've tried to beat my depression in different ways besides just taking the medicine and hoping that it works. So here are my tips for you if you're battling mental illness. First off, guys, you have got to find the right doctor. You've got to be proactive. You have got to find the right doctor. If you're one of these people that walk around and say, I have a buddy that tells me all the time, he said, "I just slam a Red Bull and eat a handful of, Tylenol or, whatever." And the thing about it is, that is only going to work short time. That's like your alcohol and your marijuana and different things you're doing. That's only going to last a very small amount of time. That's not going to help you long term. Find the right doctor. I recommend Integrated Health. Now, that's just who I recommend. This is my podcast, so I can recommend whoever I want. Integrated Health is in Carterville. That's who I always recommend. Morgan Gant. I think she's great. I think the whole thing they've got going on over there is great. They have a gene test. It's called a psychotropic gene test. It is a cheek swab that all they do is swab the inside of your cheek, and it will tell you which medicines metabolize with your body and which medicines don't. So in other words, if you have tried 100 medicines for bipolar and none of them are working, you can go get the cheek swab at Integrated Health, and it will tell you what medicines that you should try that will actually metabolize with your system. Going into that means that you're going to get on the correct medication. Getting on the correct medication is going to be a jump start for you to start feeling better. While you're on this correct medication, you can use these tips to help you get by. The first thing that I have written down here is wake up, and I have it written with an exclamation point, like get up, get out of bed. That is the number one thing you guys have to do. I talk to people all the time who are depressed, and they always say, Zach, I just lay in bed. I sleep till noon. I can't get out of bed. No, you can get out of bed. You've got to make yourself get out of bed. That's all part of being proactive. And that's what I preach all the time to people is you have to be proactive about your mental health. Get up out of that bed. Do not roll over and grab that phone and look through that phone. Because I'm going to tell you what ends up happening when you do that. You find out that Kevin bought a new truck yesterday for $80,000 and you went and made $10 an hour at your job and you're living in a rental and the sink's leaking and all. You're immediately going to think that person's better than you. Facebook is a highlight reel. Social media is a highlight reel. That's not these people's real life. They're just telling you the best stuff that's happening to them. You're going to wake up depressed already. Most of us can't sleep. I can't sleep at all. I know if you're listening to this show and you have severe mental illness, you can't sleep either. So you're going to wake up and you're going to look at that stuff. It's immediately going to bum you out. And guess what? You're going to slop into the mirror. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to hate yourself. So here's what you do. You wake up, you get out of bed, you leave that phone wherever it's at. Don't even touch that phone. You don't even need to know what went on last night. It's not that important. You've got to move. You can't just go from the bed to the couch and drink your coffee and sit in there in a dark room and stuff that's going to bum you out more. You've got to move. Now, what I started doing was the second I get out of bed, I go in, usually brush my teeth, put my contacts in. I drink some ice cold water because I feel like that helps wake me up. And then I go straight outside. I try to make myself about 20 minutes where I can go outside in the morning. And I don't care whether it's cold, hot, raining, whatever. I have to get that fresh air and I have to go out there and do something. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. I've got a pond out back. A lot of times I just go down and feed the fish. I feel like if I get up and I move, that tends to keep my mind from going stagnant. And I can't have my mind go stagnant, and neither can you. So I do know how that is. So when you're outside moving around and you're getting yourself woke up, you're going to try to just kind of concentrate on the day. Think about what you've got going on. Think about how you're going to execute that day. Because the whole point is to do as best as you can every single day and make a difference in someone's life. So think of that in the morning time. Instead of scrolling through TikTok and see what's going on, just think about what can I do today? I sit in there sometimes and just let the water hit me in the face in the shower, and I just think, what can I do today to make my day better? And usually I always think the same thing. I need to do something for somebody because that just makes me feel better. I don't know about you guys, but doing something nice for somebody always makes me feel better. I want to move on to caffeine. And this is something that I struggle with a ton. I drink Red Bulls, coffee, espresso, Mountain Dew. I drink all that stuff and I shouldn't. Here lately, I have really toned it down. And after talking to doctors for years and years about depression and stuff like that, I've had several doctors ask me, how much caffeine do you take in a day? And I'm like, well, I take in a lot, and caffeine tends to, it's a stimulant. It tends to bum you out if you've had too much. And especially if you are already have the tendency to get upset. So my doctors have always told me to watch the caffeine. And I do notice if we go on a trip or something like that, and I am just like drinking in the car and I'm not paying attention, I'm drinking Red Bulls, I'm drinking Mountain Dews, the wife stops by McDonald's, I get a Coke. I notice by the time we get to where we're going, I feel terrible. I feel terrible. I feel like all that caffeine has just crashed on me and it's crashed right in my brain. And it just makes me feel like I just don't want to do anything. So watch your caffeine intake and try to just make good choices throughout the day as far as what you're eating and stuff, because I don't believe that a diet is going to cure depression. Nobody could convince me of that. If you need medicine, you need medicine. But I do believe that your diet is going to affect your mood completely. I do agree with that. And it's just going to give you an overall better sense of well-being. So number two, I'm going to say that mental prep in the morning time, basically going back to what I was just saying about thinking about your day and things like that. That is very important to me too, because when I get up of a morning, whenever I'm doing my routine, I always try to prep myself, like in case I run into a trigger that day. Everybody has triggers. For depression, it could be somebody looking at you wrong at your job. It could be going to the gas station and the gas station attendant looks at another gas station attendant and laughs. And you're thinking, were they laughing about me? Because that's what anxiety is, guys. You're paranoid all the time. I know what it's like. You see that, and you have to prepare yourself for that. You have to know that you're going out and things are probably going to happen, and you just have to make sure that you do the very best to not let those triggers affect you. You know what your triggers are. A lot of us don't want to admit that, but you know what your triggers are. Stay away from them. There's certain people I can't go around. They make me mad instantly, and I can't go around them, so I don't. Another thing that I like to do in the morning times, and I don't know if this is, reality for everyone, but for me, I'm big on telling my family I love them. My kids, my wife. I try to tell those family members that I love them as much as I possibly can, because we are here today and gone tomorrow. And you never know what's going to happen. So I want to leave them with something positive, so that I don't affect their mental health if something happens, wondering what I was thinking that day or whatever. When I leave the house, always make sure and tell my family I love them. If you're not in a position where you leave before your family, call them on the phone. If you don't have a family, call a buddy on the phone. Call whoever. Have a good conversation. Hey, man, I'm thinking about you this morning. Hope you have a great day. Because I'm telling you, you put out positive energy, and positive energy comes back to you. I guarantee it. I've watched it happen. It happens over and over again. You have to put out that positive energy. Now, what I would also recommend to do is, if you're one of these people that stop in at Starbucks, or you're one of these people go through McDonald's, or you want something like that, I've touched on this before. Do something nice. It doesn't cost you much, but it will reward you with so much inside. So you're walking up to Starbucks, you're getting yourself a coffee. You just look at the person behind you and say, what can I get you? Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. That's another thing. You got to do stuff that you normally wouldn't do. If that kind of thing intimidates you, do it, because it's ultimately going to break those barriers down over time. If you've never bought somebody coffee behind you, or never paid for a meal, or never done anything, you need to do that, because that's going to break that barrier for you. And then you're going to be like, man, I feel really good for doing that. So if you're stopping into Starbucks, you're stopping into McDonald's, buy somebody a cup of coffee, buy them a sandwich. It's not going to cost you much, but it's going to give you the peace of mind that you did something good for somebody that day, so that if something bad does happen later, you can think, something bad happened, but I did something really good this morning, so it kind of averaged out, and that's what I try to do. I just try to continuously just do small, nice things for people. You don't have to give somebody $10,000, but just, hold the door open, buy them a cup of coffee, do something nice. Moving into number 3, your workplace or school or wherever you're at. You have to remember, you spend more hours at your job usually than you do with your family. Most jobs. I remember working jobs when I was younger, and it seemed like I lived at the places. And then by the time I got home and my wife got out of school and I got off work, I had maybe 3 hours to hang out with my wife. But I had been with these jokers from work for 10, 11 hours, so you have to really delegate your environments to what they're going to do for you. Like, I know that at home, I'm going to be okay. I know at this job, I'm probably going to be stressed out. And if that's the case, you really have to think of what you're going to do. If you're at a workplace that is bringing you down and is negative all the time. I mean, I remember going to jobs when I was younger and pulling up in the parking lot and just looking up there and thinking, man, I don't even want to go in there. Because I know the second I get in there, I know here comes the gossip king. Everybody's got that guy at work. You guys have him. He comes up first thing and tells, oh man, so-and-so called in. We're shorthanded, blah, blah, blah. He's the guy or a woman. They're the ones that go around and ruin the job site. They're the ones that make the job suck for everybody else. Okay. Those people you have to stay away from. And if that's your buddy, you need to find another buddy, because he's dragging you down too. It's easy when you're at a job to avoid people. And I've heard people tell me before, they say, Zach, not everybody's got the personality like you. Not everybody will just ignore somebody. Well, hey, the only thing I can tell you is to get that personality, because if you're being proactive, like I'm always preaching, then being proactive in that situation is saying, hey, John drags me down every single solitary day when I get here. I'm not hanging out with him anymore. You're going to walk by him and say, morning, man. And then you're going to go right on to what you're doing. Don't sit there and gossip with him about who's dating who and about this and that, because it's only going to bring you down. I've had people like that at the workplace, and it can be miserable. And, you know, I've had people always tell me too that I've always said, if you're working a job that you absolutely can't stand, it's not your career. It's just a job that you're working right now and you cannot stand it. I always tell people, I say, you're not a tree, move. And I had a guy one day tell me, he's like, well, that's a good saying, but not everybody can just quit their jobs. I understand that. And I'm not recommending anyone to quit their job without something else lined up. But I can promise you, I'm shooting this podcast in 2021. And in 2021, everybody's hiring. That's the truth. Go out there, find you another job, put your 2 weeks in, or if you don't want to put your 2 weeks in, just walk out. If that job's affecting you that much, don't let it affect you anymore. Because I can promise you there's other jobs out there. Now, back in when my parents were growing up, you couldn't just go find another job because there might not have been one out there. But there are lots of jobs available now, guys. So do not make yourself miserable at work for no reason. It's a simple step. Go on social media, go in the newspaper, go wherever. Find you a job that pays that much or more, and then go to your boss and say, hey, I'm out of here. It's a terrible work environment. I can't stay here anymore. And then you leave, and then that's done. You don't think about that place. You don't drive by it. You don't do anything. I am a king of cutting people off, and I recommend that you become a king of that too, because you have to get those people out of your lives, and you have to get them out of your lives in a way that they don't try to get back in. And I'm not talking about being rude to people and saying, get out of my life, I don't ever want to talk to you again. I'm talking about just kind of distancing yourself over time. And that brings me straight into my number 4 tip, is to drop negative people. This is not at work anymore. We're talking about people in your life. I've had a lot of people reach out to me in bad relationships. I know a friend of mine, I definitely won't mention her name. She was beaten severely by a guy. I mean, to the point where she was, you know, he broke her collarbones and stuff. I mean, it was terrible. And she was with this guy for so long. And she said, Zach, it destroyed me. She said, I would sit there at night and just think of taking my own life because I didn't want to wake up to him. I never knew what was going to happen the next day. And I said, well, why'd you stick around so long? She's like, I was just afraid of him, you know? And that made me really sad, because all you have to do is get up and leave. I mean, and I realize there's some crazy people out there, but there's ways to deal with that too. You know, there's police, there's restraining orders, there's things that hopefully work. But if you are in an abusive relationship, for one, you need to get out of that, because that's not right. Okay. I don't condone that. I don't agree with that. I think people that beat up on women and kids, I just think they're no good. And you definitely should get out of that environment. And if you think it's going to be dangerous for you, you know, line out your strategy, line out your exit strategy. You know, there's been tons of people that do it, but get away from those people, and also get away from your buddies that, you know, if you're hanging out with a guy who is constantly the victim, you know, I like to talk about the victim a lot, because I know a guy once that every time I talk to him, he's a buddy of mine. This wasn't at work. This was just every time I talk to him. He is the biggest victim. Somebody has always said something about him, or somebody mouthed him at the gas station, or him and his boss got into it and stuff like this. Guys, you cannot have people like that in your life, because, you know, I read a thing one time that said, if you hang out with 4 losers, you're soon to be the 5th. Please pick positive people to hang out with. And some people think that's really hard to do. It's really not. There are a lot of positive people out there. There's a lot of negative people out there too, but you can find positive people that will really, really bring your mood up, that will really help your life. It'll give your life just a better sense of well-being. Dropping those people, and I'll tell you how I do it. If I have friends like that, and I've had several friends like that. I had one friend that just constantly talks about how he has no money. He's about to lose his house. The creditors are looking for him. And I eventually told my wife, I said, look, I love this guy. I said, but I just can't do it anymore. I said, he's bumming me out, and I can't afford that. I can't afford you affecting my mental health. So I just started not really answering the texts like I used to. Just hey man, what's going on? I'd just be like, oh, not much, man. I'm busy today, whatever. And then eventually stop texting me. I don't have that in my life anymore. I don't have to deal with that guy anymore. I don't have to deal with him talking about he's broke all the time, or about how he hates his life, or, you know, he got into it with somebody. You can slowly get out of those situations. You don't have to break it off and be a jerk and get in a fight and all that stuff. There's ways to do that too. And I would just recommend that anybody that's in your life that is bringing you positivity, that is, you know, a good role model for you, keep them close to you. A lot of these people you're not going to know real good, but get to know them. Just start messaging them on social media, whatever. Just start talking to them, you know, just make a friendship with them and let them know you're there for them. And that brings me straight into my number 5th tip. And this is basically all about me. I have been very, very open about mental health. I'm not sure when Facebook came out. I think it was around 2009 or 2010. I may be off on the year, but in the beginning, it was just for college students. And I remember when everybody could get one, I got one. And I have literally been talking about depression and mental illness since day one on Facebook. You know how you get your memories every day? I get memories of that stuff from 10, 11 years ago, me talking about depression and stuff. I have been open about this stuff for years and years and years. If you're just hearing me for the first time, this is not new to me. I've been doing this for years. And I've always tried to be there for people. I've always tried to be extremely open, because my main goal around this whole thing is to break the stigma around mental health. There's a stigma out there saying that if you're a guy, that you have to be tough and you can't have feelings and you can't, you know, tell somebody that you're upset. Well, hey, I don't go by those rules. I don't have to prove to you that I'm tough. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. If I'm having problems, I am surely going to reach out, because I have seen people not reach out and they've taken their own lives, even friends of mine. I've had friends of mine that I've talked to on the phone 2 days before they committed suicide. They never told me a word about it. And I'm so upset that they took their life, but I'm mad at them because they didn't tell me, because I think, you know, I oftentimes think I could have helped. I might not have, but I oftentimes think I could have. But I want you guys to just be there for people, because it really helps your mental health. If you're talking to people with the same problems, it kind of helps, because you can bounce off of each other, you know. And if you're open, like I have made posts before on social media, and I have had messages from people that I cannot even believe would message me. They'll message me and say, hey man, I saw your post earlier. I would never put this on my page, but I've struggled with my entire life. And I really appreciate how open you are with it. And that always means so much to me when people message me like that, because it tells me that we are breaking down that stigma. Even though some of these guys won't go on Facebook and say it themselves, I'll say it for you. Okay. Don't worry about that. I'm not ashamed to say it. I have depression, bipolar, anxiety. I just got shots for PTSD over at the Albany Clinic, but you know, I have had those issues my entire life, and I've always just tried to be open with people, because I have got some of the best advice from just people. I'm not talking about counselors or doctors. I'm talking just like somebody who reaches out to me and says, hey man, I'd like to sit down and talk to you about mental health sometimes. I've went and met people at Cracker Barrel before, and I have left feeling better than if I had talked to a counselor, because it's somebody just like me. It's a guy out working construction, or it's a guy that, you know, drives a truck, or it's on that level. You know, you're not sitting there talking to somebody in a suit and tie that went to school for this. You're talking to a peer. And I appreciate talking to peers, because I feel like I get more out of that. And I just want to welcome you guys anytime. I am on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. You know, my phone number's out there. My phone number's on my Facebook, my personal phone number. If you ever want to reach out and you ever need to talk about mental health and you don't want anybody to know and you want to keep it private or whatever else, message me. I will talk to you. I'll talk to you on the phone. I'm not going to judge you. I won't tell anybody what you're saying, but I will give you respect, love, and I will give you advice on what to do, because I do think that everyone deserves that respect and that love whenever they're trying to say what's on their mind. Back in the day, and if you watched the last episode, I had Corey Coughlin on, which was a great episode. You should check it out. But he was talking about how when we grew up in the early 80s, you didn't say anything about being depressed. My dad worked at a prison my entire life, and he saw that stuff all the time, and it just wasn't a thing back then, but it is a very big thing now, a very, very big thing, especially with military and PTSD and some of the issues that military have whenever they get back. It's became a big thing. So just know that you're not alone when you're having these problems. There are just a lot of people that won't be as open about it as others. So if you're in that category, give me a call, give me a message. We can talk. I can point you in the right direction. Over at Integrated Health, they've actually got some really good counselors. They can get you into other counselors too. That if you wanted to go somewhere else, different towns or whatever. And I just think it's great to go talk to them and just kind of get that stuff off your chest, if that's what you like to do. I prefer talking to people. So those are my top 5 tips, guys. Get out of bed, get moving. Do your mental prep in the morning. Tell your family you love them, because you never know. I promise you, you never know. Tell the people you love them. Do it. It's important. Workplace, keep an eye on your workplace. Is it affecting your mental health at home? Or is your home life affecting your workplace? Because it goes both ways. And if either one of those things are happening, guys, something's got to change, okay? Because it's not going to just get better on its own. We talked about dropping the negative people out of your lives. We talked about ways to drop negative people out of your lives without looking like a jerk. There's tons of ways to do that. And then number 5, we talked about just being there for people, just being an overall good person. I believe that as I move forward with this charity and I move forward with the things I'm doing, my main goal is to get out there and break the stigma around mental health. But also my main goal would be to really make you proactive. I really want you to listen to me and think, I really need to be proactive. I really need to get on this right now, because I guarantee you somebody is listening to this right now that might have stumbled on it, or somebody might have told you to listen to it or watch it, and you're depressed, you've got mental illness, and you just don't really know what to do. Just reach out. Somebody's out there to help you. I guarantee it. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm available too. So I hope you guys got some great information out of that. I know those things have really helped me over the years. I try to instill them in my life every single day. I want to go back to Continuing Hope a little bit. You guys can donate on the website, www.continuinghope.com, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Continuing Hope Fund. We've got a lot of our events that are coming up that we're talking about on Facebook. We have got a pretty big raffle that's going to be coming up. We've got a lot of items right now that we are gathering from local businesses. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be amazing. And just stay tuned for lots of things. We're going to be doing a lot of things over the holidays, over the winter. Love to have some of you guys on board. Always looking for volunteers. And I think I'm going to leave you guys with that. I want you to have a great day. Get the negative people out of your life. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.